Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, February 25th, which means it's time for a new episode of Mediavine's Teal Talk, the show all about the business of content creation. I'm your host, Jenny Guy. Please say hello and welcome. And I have a confession to make to everybody. I have spring fever. It's the truth. With all the winter weather craziness across the nation the last couple of weeks, I know some of us have been impacted. I'm in Oklahoma. Water going out everywhere, no power, record-breaking temperatures. And then with that, plus following up on the last year, which of course has been a word that starts with a U and sounds like unprecedented. And I would rather not ever say that again. So between the weather last couple of weeks and that, this spring feels like more of a fresh start than usual to me.
I agree.
But thank you. Ashland, how about you? Yes.
I mean, we're working through it, but it's nice.
This is what I'm saying. But I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm going to shut up about it now, other than to ask our audience to weigh in on this. Are you guys feeling springy hopeful this week, or are you still in the winter hibernation mode? Tell us in the comments. But whatever the weather is like in your neck of the woods, which is a Al Roker Vintage Today Show special, today's guests are here with tips to help you start the next season off in great shape on your website. From the award-winning Mediavine support team, I've got the wonderful Carmen and Ashland with me. Hello, you guys.
Hey, we're excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. Carmen's back on Teal Talk. Ashland's here. Let's meet them. Let's talk about how amazing they are. Like they're not in the room and it's not awkward. Carmen Stinson is our support manager. She's been with Mediavine since 2017 and has gotten the opportunity to be a part of the exciting growth and evolution of Mediavine's offerings. She's passionate about people and finding proactive ways to help our publishers. She lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and pre-pandemic, her hobbies included listening to live music and trying every charcuterie board in town.
Still true.
You about ready to resume? I am so ready. I actually made a vow that once things are safe again, I was going to have like a nacho taste, like to go around try all the nachos that I could.
Yeah. I'm going all out. That's for sure. As soon as it's safe and normal again, I'm eating my way through this town.
Yes. Yes. All right, let's meet Ashland. It's first time on Teal Talk. So excited. And he's a support specialist here at Mediavine, a former aspiring medical student turned writer and tech guru. I didn't know former med student. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He attended Penn State University for undergrad studies in biology, but always had a knack for picking up any subject quickly. A lover of mindful words, travel, food, and photography, and also plants, because we have to talk about the plants that are happening up over your shoulder right there.
I try to get my plant game going pretty strong. So
it looks like they are thriving. They are totally thriving. Okay, so welcome everybody. Please post your questions for Carmen and Ashland in the comments. They are here with us. But in the meantime, I am going to start out basic with them. And I want to know, I'm a support team fangirl. You guys are amazing. You do so much great work for all of our publishers every day. So I want to know what a day in the life is like of the Mediavine support team. In the simplest terms, I know it's a lot of emails. So how many emails do you answer a day or a week? How many people are even on your team anymore? Someone tell me. Give me the deets.
We had to count before this call because I feel like it's been changing so much recently. And I think we're up to 39 people on the publisher or on the support team now. I know. It's insane. But really, no 2 days are the same in this department, just because we have different things coming our way, different things changing in the industry, and different initiatives that we're working on at any given time. Definitely lots of emails, lots of talking to publishers and staying up to date on the latest happenings and everything going on in the industry. And lots of chatter in Slack and just trying to form those relationships with our team because we are all remote. So we try really hard to stay connected and engaged with each other.
Ashton, anything to add on that? Like, how many emails a day do you have? Can you give me an average?
Personally, what I do, I would say between like 15 to 30 emails a day. Yeah, I mean, it's a little, it keeps me busy, but it's nice.
And your plants are there to keep you company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, in general, like we cover like it totally for a whole week, maybe like 1,000+ emails across the support team.
Wow.
But
Mhm.
we do pretty well,
Yep.
though, I think.
That's 1,000+ emails a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
That just made my stomach. I did like a roller coaster drop.
Yeah, that's depending on the time of the year too, and like seasonal spend, because certain times of the year we'll notice a lot more emails coming in, like around January when RPMs naturally drop across the industry.
Right.
So everything definitely ebbs and flows in our department.
I'm actually going to have you say that one more time, because the one of the great reasons why I wanted to have you guys on today was because there are some common things that you guys see over and over again. And I wanted to get everyone on to just talk about those things. And that is actually one of the common things I'd love to talk about. Carmen just said it. Why do you get more emails in January?
Yes. So across the entire ad industry, not just Mediavine, ad spend drops from our partners at the beginning of January, because in Q4 around the holiday season, they had really big budgets and they're spending and dumping all of their budgets into your ad performance. So at the beginning of the year, it's normal for things to drop. Advertisers are just resetting, planning out their budgets for the year, figuring out where their money's going throughout the year, and they don't spend a lot during that time. And that typically prompts a lot of emails from our publishers who are wondering what's going on, like, why did my revenue drop in half from December to January? And that's totally normal. It's not just a Mediavine thing. There are a couple of things like that that happen commonly throughout the year, and just seasonal spend that's normal for the industry that can impact publishers that we try to educate people about and give them the resources to make the most of it and ensure that they're doing what they can at any time of year to maximize their performance and revenue.
Absolutely. And we are actually going to, spoiler, we're going to be putting out a calendar pretty soon that has all of those seasonal trends in them. So our publishers, if they want to have a one-sheeter idea of what the industry is doing, they got it. But yes, Miranda, you're absolutely
That's
right.
awesome.
Good question. Let's post that one more time. Mallory says, what are the general themes of the 1,000 emails a week? Ashland, is there a general theme?
Oh boy, this is a wide range. I would say though the most popular would be RPMs, just how they increase them, RPM drops, just random things like that. Recently have been a lot of AdX text and privacy policy as well. But RPM and making that money is usually the biggest things that come in generally.
And that's what we're here for, all of us. And what the good thing for you guys, one of the good things, you have so many, is that any Mediavine publisher can email in and ask about their earnings at any time and get a detailed, personalized answer. That always blows me away, that you guys send out these detailed audits. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you look at when you do an audit? I know we've gone off script, sorry. what goes with an audit? What goes into when you do these audits, these deep dives?
Personally, that's Jenny. That's a loaded question, Jenny. What goes into it? Honestly, I look at everything. I started looking at the dashboard first because I just kind of get an idea of where you're sitting. Then I kind of go through your site, take my time, compare the two, and kind of figure out how we can maximize you and what you're doing good and what you can do better. But I just go by, in my mind, I have like a little list I go through to make sure certain things are checked off that are easy wins for you, and then kind of move into some more difficult things that we can try to work towards.
And we're going to do that in a second. Carmen, that list, you guys don't worry, you're getting the list. We have visual aids. Carmen, will you give me a little bit, if there's anything different that you do when you do an audit?
There's all kinds of things that we're looking at. Most, like Ashland said, we usually start with the dashboard. There's so much great data for publishers to utilize there that can really help them understand how each of their ad units are earning and how to optimize it. So we're looking at all of those different ad units, how they're performing separately. Page level data is a big thing we look at, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in this call. We take a look at their settings and making sure that they're optimized and set to what we recommend. Then we take a look at the site and look at the format. We look for conflicts. We look for any opportunities to make the ads more viewable to their readers. We look at site speed. We look at all kinds of things that all kind of factor into a site's overall performance. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple of big ones, but it gets pretty intuitive the more that you do it. Like now that a lot of people on our team have been doing audits for so long, we can kind of take a look at the dashboard and we look at each site individually and really holistically, because we want to make sure we're tailoring the suggestions to each specific person and ways that they can grow. But it's all kind of things, and we'll definitely talk about more of them in the live.
We definitely will. You actually brought up a word that we are going to do a little more of a deep dive into right now, which is a big word in programmatic advertising and what Mediavine does, and that is viewability. We talk about it a lot, but the question is, what does it mean and why does it matter? And how can we measure it and make it better?
Yes.
Carmen, let's start with you.
Viewability can definitely get a little complicated, or it seems that way on the surface anyway. When you really dive in, it's not complicated. And a lot of people don't even know what viewability is and might just not know what it means or how they can use it to their advantage to help with performance. So viewability is basically how well the ads on your site are being seen by your readers. So whether or not an advertiser or a reader is seeing the advertisement that an advertiser is putting in front of them. For the ad to be classified as viewed by our partners, I think 50% of the ad needs to be seen by a reader for at least 1 second. So that goes into the calculations that you'll see in your dashboard for viewability ratings for each of your different ad units. On average, we are aiming for publishers to have 70% site-wide viewability, and that's average for all of their ad units. It's normal for different ad units to have a different normal average percentage of viewability. This is where it gets a little complicated, but I'm going to break down each of the ad units.
Please.
Yes, so we'll start with the in-content ads. Typically, anywhere from around 55 to 60% viewability for that ad unit is normal and great performance.
In-content ads are ads in the middle of the content, right? That's the only thing we're talking about there.
Correct. The ones within the post that readers are scrolling down as they read the post and seeing. If you have really tiny font, especially because a lot of readers are coming to your site on mobile, on smaller devices, it's hard for them to see and it's easier for them to scroll really quickly through all of the content. If you have a larger font size, it not only makes the user experience better and the readability better, but also it keeps them engaged on your post for a longer amount of time because it's going to take them a longer time to scroll down the page. Longer time on the page means more time that the ads are being seen by your readers, which means more money. So font size is a big one. We recommend 18 pixels minimum. Line height, making sure that the line height on your site isn't too small or sparing. That's a good way to add a little bit more space and scrolling time. Breaking up paragraphs, we typically recommend paragraphs only be 2 to 3 sentences. It makes it easily digestible, scrollable, easy to read, and it allows our ads to come in at a really intuitive and nicely viewed place. And then adding images, large vertical images, just really anything you can do to increase the length of your post content and keep readers engaged and on the page. So that's content, the in-content ads, the ones within your post. Our sidebar ads, there are 2 different ones. We have the above the fold or the top sidebar ad, and then the sticky sidebar ad, the one at the very bottom of your sidebar that scrolls down with the reader as you scroll with the page. For the top sidebar ad, anywhere around 55% viewability is normal and great performance. Things we look at with that ad unit is your first sidebar ad above the fold, meaning is it in that first screen view of your post when you go click on it to view the page, or is it below the fold? Typically an ad that's really high up on the page isn't going to perform super well because what are readers doing when they go to your post? They came to look at your content, so they're going to navigate straight down to that content and skip over that ad almost immediately. The good thing about having your top sidebar ad targeted below the fold or in that second screen view is that it also allows you to take advantage of another great setting that we have that I think Ashland's going to touch on later, optimize for desktop page speed to keep all ads out of that first screen view of the post. So a lot of info there, but yes, those are the tips.
How do they get it targeted? If you were talking about targeting, what does that mean and how do we change it?
Great question. So targeting is the way that we choose where your ad placement is located in your sidebar. And that's something that we take care of on our end. You can just shoot us a quick email, let us know that you would like your sidebar ad targeted below the fold or in the second screen view, and we can take care of that for you. It's a pretty easy fix.
Love that. All right.
Yes.
So sidebar, and the best thing, the thing that we always advise about sidebar is that to shorten it, to shorten the amount of content that each publisher has in the sidebar, so that sticky sidebar ad comes into view faster, correct?
Exactly. Typically, the shorter the better. The only thing you'll want to have enough length for is to make sure that you are able to place that top sidebar ad in the second screen view of the post. So you might need 1 or 2 widgets in your sidebar, maybe 3 at the very most. And if that's all set, then you can get your sidebar ad targeted in that second screen view and take advantage of that setting. And it's more viewable, better for performance, and better overall.
Love that. Okay, we got a question from Tara Moore that I'm gonna jump in with real quick. She says, "What about fill rate? What's a good percentage that we should be aiming for, and how do we make strides to be achieving a better number for that?"
That's a good question. I think a good percentage is really going to be different for every site, just because there are so many different factors that go into fill rate, like your site's content, demographics, campaigns that advertisers are running at the time, just different people that they're trying to reach on your site. And if they're willing to pay more for a certain audience, that's going to affect how many ads are being filled on your site at any given time. We never fill to 100%, and we set price floors to make sure that all the ad placements showing up on your site are at least meeting a certain minimum, so you guys are getting paid well for the impressions you're being served. But if you ever have any site-specific questions about fill rate, you can always email into us, and we can take a look at your top posts and see if there's anything that we can do to optimize that number a little bit.
Thank you for answering that for Tara. Okay, let's jump back in here. Let's continuing to talk about viewability, and let's pick up with the recipe card or the most valuable content card.
Yes, recipe or most valuable content card. We typically recommend having a viewability score of around 70%, having at least 2 recipe ads running on desktop or 3 on mobile. And you can adjust the frequency settings of your recipe card in the dashboard if you're running Create. Or we can help you target as many ads you would like if you reach out to us at publishers@mediavine.com also. Also, how many ads are being served and where they're being served within the card. So where the ad is placed definitely affects how well it performs, because if it's in an area where readers are kind of scrolling over really quickly, it's not going to get a lot of engagement time. But if it's near maybe the ingredients or instructions or somewhere where readers are really engaging, then it's going to perform better. And then I think we'll jump to video. We obviously could never say enough about video. We have so many video. I know, we don't shut up about it, but there's a reason for that. Video. Typically, the video ad unit is one that scores with a little bit better viewability. 90% is our recommendation there, or a sign that you're doing really well. A few things for that ad placement: having the optimized placement setting enabled. We're going to look at this in a couple of moments when we do the setting audit. But basically, the optimized placement setting allows the video player to be placed intuitively within the post where it's going to perform the best for your readers. I don't know exactly how it works. Our script has some crazy, amazing technology that reads each post individually and finds the perfect spot for it for maximum performance. But definitely have that setting enabled. I think typically with that setting enabled, the video is going to show up after the first in-content ad. So after the reader is in your post, engaged a little bit, they take a look at the video. If you have it running on desktop, it'll scroll down with the reader. If you have autoplay enabled on desktop, that is. And overall, really great engagement with our video ads and video content. And that optimized placement setting is probably the biggest factor there. Sticky sidebar. That's that sidebar ad unit that scrolls down the page with the reader. Like Jenny said earlier, shorten your sidebar where possible. Remove any unnecessary widgets or things that your readers aren't even really engaging with. You can use a heat map to take a look at your sidebar and see where they're actually clicking and what they're engaging with and what content is, valuable to them. If you notice there's something on your site that's not getting a lot of engagement, take it off, especially in the sidebar placement where you can really take advantage of some more revenue there if it is shorter. So shorten your sidebar, remove any unnecessary widgets, and then content length comes into play here too, because the sticky sidebar scrolls down with the reader and it only has enough or as much length to scroll as post content length that you have. So lengthening your post will keep that ad unit scrolling for a really long time, and the longer the better. The adhesion ad unit is that little ad that runs like a bar across the bottom part of your screen on your site. That ad unit is super viewable because it's sticky, it stays on the screen unless you have the ability to X out of it enabled in your dashboard settings. But it's in front of the reader, they're scrolling with it, they're seeing it the entire duration of the time they're on your site typically. So our viewability for that rating or viewability recommendation for that ad unit is typically around 95%. Make sure that nothing is overlapping the ad unit, like subscription pop-ups or really anything that you have on your site. If there's anything that's hovering over it or blocking it at all, that could cause an ad policy violation. So you just want to make sure that's clear. The adhesion close button is another setting that we'll talk about in our settings audit, but we do have the ability to disable the function where publishers can exit out of that ad. And that's great for viewability, obviously, because that ad will always be in front of your reader. Outstream mobile adhesion unit that we recently launched, and making sure that the adhesion units are running on both mobile and desktop as well. There is an option to do either or, but we recommend both.
Fantastic.
And then apart from that, I'm rambling a little bit, but site speed is also a huge factor in viewability. The faster your site is, the faster your ads are, and the faster everything on your site will be. So the faster your site is, the better your ads are going to perform and the more viewable they're going to be to your readers because they can get to them sooner.
All of that very helpful in terms of viewability and understanding the concept, and then why it matters, why we're always working to improve it, and then action tips that we can actually implement to make that improve. Now we are going to talk about the dashboard. We've been talking about this a lot. Ashland thought I was going to leave him alone with his plants, but I'm not. I'm going to bother him now. We are going to talk about dashboard. We're going to do a dashboard audit, but before we jump into that, audience, talk to me about your site health check lights. Are you all teal? Confession time. Tell us in the comments where you are. What needs to be improved for you? Let us know. And as you guys are sharing those with us, I one of the best tools, as Carmen said, for our publishers is that dashboard. There is so much information in there. And I know that you guys, that is the first place you go when you're doing an audit for publishers, is you go into their dashboard and you look and see how things are actually performing. So you guys are perfect to give tips for making the most of all that data. And I definitely want to hear what you guys suggest. So Ashland, let's start with you. I'm going to share my screen so we can show some slides here. But as we do that, Ashland, let's start out here at the top.
All right, so for this, I'm just going to kind of go through and give you some quick, easy wins that you can kind of get started on right now that you should have enabled. If you don't, we're coming after you. No, I'm just kidding. You should have these enabled though. But to start off though, Carmen touched on this a little bit about the optimized ads for mobile and desktop. Optimized ads for mobile is something you should have on no matter what. Just immediately have that turned on. You don't have to have any kind of idea of what, if it's going to remove any ads from your site. The optimized ads for desktop has a slight caveat though. You do have to make sure that it doesn't remove that first sidebar ad that Carmen mentioned. So if you have that enabled right now on your site, just make sure that you go on there, look on your site, see if the first ad is missing. If it is, just shoot us an email. We'll get that retargeted for you. If you don't have this enabled, enable it, and then shoot us an email to make sure that it's targeted properly for you. This just kind of helps with speed, not only for your desktop and your mobile, which is so important for you, but it also creates high CPMs and great viewability as well for this particular. So this is just a quick little easy one to switch it right on.
Do it now. Do it now while you're listening to Ashland talk.
Absolutely. And if you have it, you already have a star. I'm giving you a star already if you have it already enabled. If not,
Yes.
Go do it now.
You're earning
Yes.
stars on Teal Talk right now.
Absolutely. I'm going to move on to, let's go to adhesion close. So adhesion close, this is a very, very, very simple thing. Simple because adhesion plays on every single post and page. So every reader, every user sees it. Also, if you look at your dashboard, from what I've seen, it's always ranking within the first 1 or 2 slots as far as your revenue because it produces so much, it's such high viewability. People aren't closing this in anyway. Your readers are always seeing it; they're never closing it. So removing that button so they can't close it and have the option, they won't even notice. They will probably even know there's an X there to begin with. So you just gain yourself a 7 to 10% performance rating upgrade on that adhesion. You should just go ahead and enable that to be closed automatically, so they can't close it. So that's a quick, easy one. Always something you should have. If you have it, you got 2 stars. 2 stars come from me already. If you don't have it, then you're missing that star. But you can go and do it now, and I'll give you like half a
right
star.
now. Go.
Give you like half a star. Ads in HTML list. This one is pretty simple, and you might even have lists on your actual page. You may have some lists from older posts that you don't even realize are there. And this is just a kind of way to make sure that ads are optimally placed within those HTML lists, because without this, our script doesn't do that automatically for you. So enabling this will give it an opportunity for that script to do its job a little bit better and kind of figure out if you have HTML lists to place those ads there, and also kind of extend your content in a way as well, and adds to that engagement and scrollability. That one's pretty easy. Again, another star. We have 4 stars. 4 stars. You could be at 4 stars already. Let's see here. Next, hard limits. I'm gonna go for no hard limits. This is something that's really simple for ad densities. So ad densities, what I see a lot is that you will have your ad density set at a really good rate. Maybe it's on high, maybe it's on medium, wherever you like it. But then you will add a hard limit to make sure that only maybe 9 ads served on a post or 12 ads served on a post. The downside to that is that every post, it has its own structure, format, and length. And because of that, every hard limit kind of forces the ads to only show that amount, instead of allowing the script to just kind of do its job and decide how long the post is, how the structure is in the format, and kind of optimally place the ads there. So remove those ad limits kind of it will definitely help your RPMs. It'll definitely help your viewability as well as your impression counts. So usually a post with higher impressions will have our higher RPMs. So people always ask, like, how can I increase impressions on a post? You want to increase your RPM on a post. You should look at your impressions. So this definitely helps that. Removing those hard limits helps that a lot.
Yes. Another thing about the hard limits too is that even with those hard limits removed, you're still never going to show more than the percentage frequency that you have set in your dashboard. So if you have your desktop frequency set to 20%, you'll still never get more than 20% ads, with 80% being your site's content. And that's a, pretty reasonable way to strike a good balance with user experience and frequency while still having a little bit of optimization to make sure your post is earning as well as it can be.
Question here on, so hard limits would be, we're talking about in-content ad frequency, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for in-content ads.
Great. All right. Can we talk about opt-outs?
Opt-outs. This, I think, is one that publishers don't even think about when it comes to how it can impact your rev. Just because if the more opt-outs you have, you're kind of limiting your ad inventory in a way. You're kind of limiting who can spend on your page, and that's automatically will affect it. So if you have no opt-out selected, you're great. If you do have quite a bit of opt-out selected, I would say my suggestion is to look at the list, figure out which ones are just completely deal breakers, which one you just know you absolutely do not want on your site. If that's the case, keep those opted out. If you're kind of have a topic where you're kind of on the fence and you don't really know, you're kind of like, maybe not, I would say turn it on. And I say this because 90 to 95% of those ads that would come from that category, you will never even see. And you'd probably be completely fine with. If you have an ad that you do not like, that you do not want on your page, you can always just hit the report ad button. So I would say when it comes to opt-outs, kind of go through, be reasonable about which ones you can and can't live without. And the ones you can kind of live with, let them go, and just kind of go through and report those ads to us so we can take care of that for you. But you can kind of open yourself to being a little more open to more ad spenders spending on your page. So look at those opt-outs and kind of figure out what that is for you.
Yeah, a lot of those categories actually sound way worse than they are too. The category names are coming straight from Google. We didn't select those names, so something might fall within a category that might not seem super related, and the category just sounds harsher than it is. A good example we always give is the cosmetic procedures and body modification. That sounds kind of intense, but that could include things like spa services, salons, nail services, things like that you probably wouldn't be against having on your page. So that's something to think about too.
For sure. Okay. Now moving on from that, we're going to come back. That was very, very helpful talking about all the different settings and where they are and what to do and how to maximize those quick wins. We love quick wins. Okay. About 6 months ago, we had a huge upgrade in the Mediavine dashboard, and the most exciting addition that everyone on the team loves, and from what we've seen from publishers, they seem to love as well, is page level data, which opens us up for page level optimization. Carmen and Ashland both, and I think we'll start with Carmen, but can you give us an overview of page level data and how we can use that to maximize earnings for ourselves?
Yes, so page level data is the best place really for you to look for actionable items to improve your post's performance. In the Mediavine dashboard, we provide page level data for your top 100 pages. So that's a lot of data in your dashboard that you can take advantage of to improve upon to make sure all of your trending content is earning as well as it can be. The biggest part of page level data is really looking at your top content, the places where your readers are actually going and visiting your site, because that's where you have the opportunity to make the most money. We look at things like the amount of views, the traffic that a post has, the revenue it's making, the RPM, which I'll talk a little bit more about why we don't want to focus on RPM too much, CPM, which we recommend focusing on a little bit more, fill rate, view, and viewability, and impressions per page. All of these things might seem a little bit confusing. It's a lot of data, but really, once you understand how all of these things are working for you, it's really easy to take a look at it and see where you might have opportunities to optimize. So first being that impressions per page column, that is showing you on average how many ad impressions that post is getting per page. If you look at that number, you'll notice on the screenshot here, some of the posts get way higher ad impressions. That might be because the post is longer or optimized better for engagement, or there are more ads running on that page for whatever reason. You can use the post with really high averages to kind of guide you into how you should be optimizing and creating the content on your other posts. So if you see a post that has an impressions per page average, I think one on here is like 22, you want to take a look at that post and see all the things that you're doing right. Were you adding lots of long vertical images on that post? Were you breaking things up a lot better? Were things spaced out better? Is there just more content in general? What things can you take away from that post that are working really well and apply to the other top content that you're having so it can perform at that same rate? What else? Viewability is a big one we already talked about. And then CPM. We recommend looking at CPM and impressions to optimize. Don't rely on RPM to gauge your performance, because it's a calculation that's happening after the fact. After your earnings have already been finalized and the advertisers have already bid on your ad placements, that's where you're getting that RPM calculation. CPM, or cost per mil, is a tool that our advertisers use to gauge how much they're spending every 1,000 ad impressions on your posts. So that gauges how receptive advertisers are to that post. Like, is that content that's really valuable to them for some reason? Is there a demographic they're reaching on that post that they're trying to target? We don't know all the answers to what exactly the reason for the ultimate CPM number is, but what we can do is look at the posts where your CPM is performing really well and see what's going on in those posts. What's the difference there? Is it content format and what we talked about earlier, it being scrollable and engaging? Is it the sites or the post content itself, something that's performing really well? Like, say St. Patty's Day is coming up and you have a St. Patty's Day post that's all of a sudden performing well. Maybe you can create some similar content around that to try to take advantage of how advertisers are spending on that at any given time. Those are the biggest things. We have amazing resources in our help docs as well that help break down each of those different elements. I think one help doc in particular that I link all the time is the using page level data to improve performance. Our director, Heather, wrote that help doc, and it's super valuable, granular information that'll really give you some actionable tips. But the biggest things I'd look at with page level data are that impressions per page column and the CPM column. Look at the posts that are performing really well, see what you're doing right, and replicate those optimizations on your top content. We typically recommend looking at your top 10 to 15 posts, but if you can even do your top 20 to 25, it's going to be a game changer in the performance of those posts.
We actually have a question from the audience related to everything that we're talking about, getting down into that granular information. And it's a great question, Adriana, because we're actually wanting you to talk more about CPM as something you actually can improve, as opposed to RPM, which is that overall calculation and isn't how you earn. So Adriana wants to know, how can you improve CPM?
That's a great question.
A lot goes into CPM. And it's really site specific because like your traffic breakdown goes into sites to your CPM, your viewability goes into your CPM. So like everything's connected. So it's kind of hard to say what can, but all these different steps and all these different things can help you improve your CPM. I would definitely say that Carmen hit it on those. Like look at some of your top posts that have great CPMs and see what you can do to replicate that throughout other posts. Keywords plays a part, fuel rate plays a part. Like there's so many things that go into CPM. It's like the ingredients of your cake. You really have to figure out what are the best ingredients to get that cake to taste the best. So that's really CPMs. So I would say for that, you would definitely want to write in, because it's very site specific, to kind of see what we can do to help you out with that.
And yes. CPM, just for clarification for me, CPM is per ad unit, right? This is each individual ad unit has a different CPM. And then does the post have an overall CPM as well?
Yes, we track both of those. Ad unit CPM and then the post overall CPM as well.
That's fantastic. So I can actually, so the post CPM is going to give me an overview of the way all the different ad units are performing in that post. So I can see that if the CPM for one of my top performing posts is lower, I know that I've got some work to do on that post, whether that's lengthening the content, whether that's spacing out the paragraphs, adding more videos, or adding a video, putting in some photos that are useful. I can actually do some specific work. And then the reason why we tell people or ask people, advise people, we suggest that you work ahead is because you can look at the things that are coming, that are about to be trending, that are about to be always getting you traffic. If every spring my St. Patrick's Day green beer bread is tops, or my Easter egg craft is tops, whatever that is that's coming up, I can optimize my posts knowing I'm going to be getting traffic there. I can do the work on the post in advance of when it's going to be getting all that traffic and increase my earnings. Yes?
Yes. And that brings up a really good point. This is something that you should be doing periodically for your site. Like if not once a month, maybe even more often, because your trending content is changing all of the time. You might have a post that just pops off and does really well, and you want to make sure you go back into those posts that are performing really well at any given time and make sure that it's set up as well as it can be for maximum performance. So maybe even every week, check in on your top posts and see what you can do on the ones that are ranking in your top 10 to 15 to help optimize them a little bit. And again, a big takeaway from this is looking at what is performing well on your individual site, what posts are doing well, and what can you take away from those posts and apply it to the rest of your content.
And a lot of times that's actually so we have a lot of people that it's industry wide. It's not Mediavine publishers, it's all publishers. And it's talking about RPM and comparing RPM. And a lot of times when people get a red flag, they see their RPM drop. And sometimes that can happen because a new post is trending. A new post has moved into your top 10 and it's not optimized, right? Is that accurate?
Exactly that.
Okay.
That's something we see pretty often.
And that's something you guys check, right? If somebody emails in and says, what happened to my RPM? You said, well, people are really loving on your rainbow cloud craft that they were not loving on in winter, but now they're all about it and it's pretty short. Is that a fair example?
Definitely. And it might not be super obvious because I think by default in our dashboard, the date range is set to the last 30 days, but you might have a post that's trending in the last 3 days that you might not see really blatantly. So that's another good reason to narrow down that date range. Maybe take a look at the last 3 days or the last day or two and see what's performing well in that moment. You can scroll down to the top pages section in the dashboard, look at the page level data on each post and kind of take it from there. But yes, if there's a post that's trending that has like no ad placements or just not optimized or set up really well, that's definitely going to impact overall RPM and maybe even those site health scores too. So that's something to look out for sure.
Right. And
Absolutely.
beyond the RPMs, the site health lights that we were talking about earlier, we had a bunch of people say they were teal. Good job. Ashland, will you give people another star if they're teal?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're teal.
Another star. That's 5. If anyone keeping track at home, you have 5 stars from Ashland. Okay. But if for some reason your site health changes, a lot of times that is because that data is pulled from the last 3 days. Is that right? So if another post has dropped into your top 10, that could be that's not fully optimized. That's not as optimized as well as it could be. That's what's causing the change in your health lights. Ashland, can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was going to say, like, as you stated, the site health, if you're seeing something like let's say you were teal yesterday, and then today you wake up and you're like yellow or you're green. Yeah, definitely. It's only the last 3 days that site health is really checking. So if you put your actual dashboard to the last 3 days, you can get a really good idea if you start going out to your page level data to kind of see what has happened, what's changed, like what's picking up traffic, what's dropped traffic. You may have a really great post that was optimized very well that had so much traffic in the last 30 days, and then it fell off. And all of a sudden, that is no longer getting traffic. That post that was gaining you 20 plus impressions is no longer in your top. And that could be a reason why you have dropped out of the teal or you've gone down in your site health. So yeah, I definitely, that's one of the things I look at for sure. Whenever I go to a website, to a dashboard, I switch to 3 days just so I can see immediately what has happened within the last 3 days to kind of get an idea of how to work from that. But yeah, that's a very good tip.
What it's also not a reason to do, which, I mean, I'm really good at this personally, is panic. If I wake up one morning and I log into the dashboard and I see that my teal stars have disappeared, it's like someone pooped in my cornflakes. I'm not happy about it. I want to know what's wrong, but it's not a reason to panic. It probably just means that my traffic has changed. Is that not saying not to email in? If you have a question, email in. Like they'll figure it out if it's broken. But it probably doesn't mean that it's broken, right?
That is correct. Like I say, if you have teal, if you don't have teal, if you have green, like it's okay. It's fine. Like you're still great. You're still great no matter what. But yeah, it just means your reader behavior has changed. Your top posts have more than likely changed. Honestly, a lot of times a homepage will sneak up in there. Like people don't think like you post on social media, on Twitter or like Instagram, you have your homepage. People will start going to your homepage and not going to and landing on your homepage first. And that homepage will start sneaking up there. And the homepage usually doesn't carry any in-content ads. And because of that, it has lower impressions, has lower RPM, and that will drop your site health as well. So keep a lookout for that as well.
Yeah. Don't panic, but definitely email us and we will look at it and give you everything you need to get you going in the right direction.
Huzzah. All right. We cannot have an episode of Teal Talk featuring our support team without talking about video. We already teased a little bit that it was the year of video. It became a decade of video. It's the new decade of video in 2021. It is one of our most used words around these parts. Like if there was a Mediavine word cloud, video would be one of the ones in the middle. Teal, it's up there. We recently introduced a new video option that Carmen talked about for a moment, which is the Outstream Mobile Adhesion. What is this unit? Do I want this unit? Tell me why I want this unit. Tell me more about this unit. Carmen, I'm not going to say unit again. I'm going to go.
Well, let me start by saying you definitely want this unit. We're highly recommending our publishers switch over to this unit, and I'll explain what it is and what the different settings and kind of caveats are with this ad unit. Fantastic. So Outstream Mobile Adhesion is our new video ad unit on mobile only. So this doesn't apply to the desktop version of your site, just on mobile. And it allows your video to appear in that adhesion ad unit slot across the bottom of the screen. And it displays within the auction. So the video will only display if there's an advertiser that has bid on that ad placement in the auction. Otherwise, the normal adhesion unit will display in that placement. And we're recommending it over Our previous recommendation, which was autoplay video on mobile, that was that video player in the middle of your site's content that scrolls down with the reader that can typically be sticky and scroll down. It's not the best for user experience on mobile just because device sizes are so small, and that's taking up a big portion of the screen's content and kind of can be maybe annoying for some readers. It definitely performs well.
Be real about when you're looking up recipes on your phone, or you're reading a friend's site on your phone.
Yes.
Let's just be honest and real with ourselves that you do not like when the unit is going everywhere and following you. You don't like it. I don't like it.
You don't want it just blaring in your face. Like, viewable is good, but we got to draw the line somewhere. But this is still a great setting, and it's fine if it ends up being the best option for your site. But the direction we're heading in is that user experience is incredibly important, and we kind of want to be on the forefront of the industry in recognizing that maybe we could be a little bit better with our mobile video ad unit and its user experience and long-term performance. And more advertisers are going to hop on to this new exciting setting. So I think in the long term, it's definitely going to perform better and outperform our previous ad settings. For now, there is a small risk of a very slight dip in revenue with the new Outstream mobile adhesion unit. That's because when you enable that setting, we do require that you disable autoplay mobile video. That way you're not running 2 videos on mobile in the post. That would be bad.
Don't do that.
We've seen a slight dip in earnings with this just because that autoplay player is a little more in your face and it scrolls down with the reader. But on some sites, we've seen earnings go up. It really is going to be site specific. And with any setting, when you enable it, monitor your dashboard and see how it's performing over the next couple of days. And you can kind of decide from there if it is the best fit for your site. But we're basically recommending it because it's better for user experience. It's going to be better for long-term performance. And it's kind of at the forefront of the industry and monetizing video on mobile. So definitely keep all those things in mind. Although you do have to disable autoplay video on mobile when running the new Outstream mobile adhesion unit. Lots of words, so I'm trying to say it as clearly as I can. But you want to keep autoplay on desktop enabled. This will not affect your desktop video at all. And if you look at the video player on desktop, because screen sizes are bigger, the user experience is pretty good. And that video player pops out to the side, scrolls down with the reader, but it's not taking up a big portion of the screen. So you'll want to keep that setting enabled. We've noticed some publishers getting a little bit confused about which settings to disable and keep enabled. So if you're enabling Outstream mobile adhesion, disable autoplay video for mobile, but keep autoplay video for desktop enabled. That way you're still monetizing video on the desktop version of your site, and it's autoplaying, scrolling with the reader, great for performance. All you need to know is that Outstream is better. We recommend it. Keep autoplay for desktop enabled.
Fantastic. And we did share the new blog post. It is in there. This is a new setting. If this is news to you, it's been a couple of weeks. We've shared it. It's been in the rewind. It's been on the blog, but this is all new. And this is a decision that each publisher needs to make for themselves. We're not forcing anyone into turning that mobile autoplay off. If you we understand that there are times when revenue is the most important thing, and that's okay. We're just saying, give it a shot. I think your user experience will be greatly improved, which then means probably you'll have more repeat visitors, more traffic. All of that is going to result in higher earnings and a better user experience with a small hit in revenue.
Yes, that's a big thing too that I feel like I tell publishers, or anytime I'm on a Teal Talk or talking to people about settings changes and the things that we recommend. When you implement a setting, it's not set in stone. You can implement that setting and decide that you don't want it a week from now and disable it right away. Anything that we recommend, I would say give it a shot. See how it performs on your site. See how you like it when you view your page and you're scrolling down the blog post and seeing how your reader would be viewing your site. Test it out for a week or so, see how it's performing. If that performance is outweighing any of the reservations that you had about that ad unit, it's a good sign that you should keep it. Then it's going to be better for your revenue long term. But if it's not, now you tried it. You have the data to back up your decision, and that is okay.
And the other thing about it is that when you're testing out these settings, monitor the performance in the dashboard, like you're saying, and I would recommend for myself not changing like 4 settings at once so that you have an idea of what the heck is happening. You can't know what's causing what if you change everything at once, That's just for me. I get it, but I understand why you want to change everything at once. But if you're actually trying to monitor a specific change you're making, one change at a time so you can actually see. We had Sarah said, I just now added to your list of 1,000 emails, Ashland and Carmen. I'm asking for an audit. Fantastic.
Yay. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And then Susan Williams said, I love you. I love you too, Susan. I very much do love you. Okay. I want to quickly, but we're running low on time, and I knew we would run low on time. I just want to touch on this. Ashland, can you talk about the video settings? I think there's some misconceptions that are here. And first, why are they there and why are they important? Which are the top ones that we have to fill out when we're uploading a video?
Uploading a video. Keywords is really, to me, other than like the title, of course, obviously title and all that kind of stuff. But really, it comes down to keywords. You really make sure you got your keywords in there. You want to make sure that you have a permalink that is relevant to the post. Make sure it's as relevant as possible. So if you're doing something like a video specific, post specific video, then you want to make sure that is the link that you add in there. If you're embedding the video, make sure that you are, I would say always make sure you have optimized ads, optimized placement enabled. But I understand that some people like to stick it into their recipe card, but just make sure you have the settings you want in there. Otherwise, it will optimize place automatically within your content if you place it anywhere in there. I would just say, like, for me though, keywords is the biggest thing. It makes Google happy, and honestly, that's really what we're here for. But yeah, so it just helps with your schema all around.
Mm-hmm. And then that's
also how advertisers know, right? I'm sorry, like those keywords are how advertisers know how to purchase the video on your site.
That is correct. It lets them know like what the video is about, because they're not going to sit and watch the video, but well, they might.
Which is lame. No. They should though. I've watched your videos; they're awesome. but I said that incorrectly. We're not saying that they're going to purchase your videos. They're not. They are going to purchase pre-roll or post-roll spots, those placements, and they know where they want to purchase by your keywords. So you're only helping them.
That link to the blog post is super important too.
Yeah, and that keywords also like plays a part into like how high the CPM for that particular video is, which plays into viewability, which goes back to everything. So
it's all connected.
It is. It's synergy. All right. Well, we are almost out of time, which is a bummer. But I know we could sit here all day. Before we go, I want to have you guys share just some of your top action items, just a couple per each of you, what people can do, what they should walk away from here and go look at now. If they haven't been doing and following our advice and trying for Ashland stars and making those updates in their settings as we've been talking, which why weren't you doing that? We told you to do that, but it's okay if you weren't. If these are some additional things that we maybe haven't gotten a chance to touch on that are quick wins. And I'm going to make a couple of quick announcements before we get to those tips. Our next episode of Teal Talk is Thursday, March 11th. It is at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. And I have Nora Schlesinger from A Clean Bake, and he's back, Eric Hochberger, Mediavine CEO and co-founder. We're going to be talking about how to form a loving and healthy relationship with Google. Ashland, we've been talking about him, them, the Googs the whole time. They're all our bosses. They are Eric. They are my boss's boss. So we want to know, I feel like the reason why we named this episode that, just to give some insight, is because sometimes it can feel really arbitrary and like, why does Google hate me? I've seen so many posts in the Facebook group from my friends that are bloggers. So many people say, why does Google hate me? This is all about figuring out ways to make Google not hate you. And that's what we're going to be talking about. It's all about SEO on the next Teal Talk. That's Thursday, March 11th. We will have our CEO here, so you can truly SEO like a CEO when Eric is here. Please go on all of the social media. We've got our YouTube channel, so this episode will be edited and added there. Like our Facebook page to keep up with all the updates. We have a new newsletter that's going out. We can get all over the place. We had a Twitter party last week that was totally exciting and fun, and so many of you guys participated. So we want to catch you. If you want to hear from us, we want to talk to you. So please go like us in all those places so you don't miss anything. Now, for my wonderful and amazing guests, Ashland and Carmen, please give us those action items. And I would love to start with Ashland. You guys have been dream guests. Thank you so much for coming and spending time with me this afternoon.
Thank you for having us. You make it easy.
Yeah.
You guys are wonderful. Ashland, what are those tips?
Ashland's going to take mine. I know it.
Look, I'm going to say adhesion close. Make sure you're running video. Have video. If you do not have a video, we can actually create one for you. So write in if you want to be able for us to create a video for you. Send us an email. We can do that for you. But make sure you have video. Like that will give you a significant boost in rev right from the beginning.
And does video have to be, do I have to hire a film crew to have a video? What are my options?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
no,
fantastic. Mediavine film crew. You guys are awesome. Like Steven Spielberg.
No, you just need pictures, any kind of pictures. Any pictures you want. It's going to be still shots or it can be videos, but yeah. Just email us. We'll take care of it for you.
And you can also do that on Animoto or Jump Rope or things that we've talked about here. There are free apps and paid apps and all sorts of options for you out there that you can do a slideshow style video so that you can be taking advantage of those incredible video CPMs that we have out there. So add those. And then you also said disable that adhesion close. Is that across the board? Is it mobile and desktop?
It's across the board. And once you do it, it's across the board. It's mobile and desktop. So once you do that, it's across the board. But I'm telling you, do it. It's so simple. No one closes it.
It really is not a bad user experience. It doesn't bother you. It's not getting in your way.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. Right, it's at the bottom. You don't even notice it when you're scrolling. You're just like, it's there. It's your friend. You don't even pay attention to it.
Well, I hope that's not. I mean, we just got some real insight into how Ashland treats their friends, and wow, they're just there. You don't pay attention to them. They sit there. They're like plants.
During COVID, yes, I've been
fair. We all gotta do what we need to do to survive. Carmen, top tips from you, please.
Okay, I'm gonna go page level data. That is a huge tool that might not be utilized as often as I feel like it could be. But take a look at that help doc we linked earlier. I think it's called Improving Performance for Page Level Data. And look at your top posts and do that periodically. Not just, oh, I've looked at my top post, I've optimized everything I can forget about this now. No, we want you guys to check in on that stuff as often as you can because trending content changes so frequently. See what's performing well for your site and use that stuff to guide how you're optimizing the rest of your content. That is a big one for me. And I think there's always something actionable there and the returns are great. Viewability.
Yes.
Maybe something a lot of people haven't really focused a lot on before. We have really great resources for our blog on that as well. Big takeaways there would be font size. Make sure that's 18 pixels minimum. That's an easy way to make a big difference. And it's really pretty too. It makes your site easy to read.
Google says 16. Google says 16.
Yes. 16 is Google's recommendation. 18 is what we recommend because it still looks really good and it performs really well. Video. Enable optimized placement. That will place the video in the most lucrative spot in your post to ensure that it's performing as well as it can be. And then I have another one. I'm sorry, I have a lot.
Go for it, please.
The Outstream mobile adhesion unit. Give it a shot, try it, see how it performs on your site. It's great for user experience. And on most sites, we haven't seen the impact to revenue been significant at all. We've even seen it increase on some sites. So it probably just depends on your site specific makeup. But give it a shot, see if you like it. If you do, amazing. We think that ad unit's performance is going to continue to improve and be better than our previous offerings. But if you don't like it, at least you tried it and you have the data to back up that decision.
Heck yeah. Well, you guys are amazing. And I would say it myself, but we had a comment that will say all that needs to be said. And it is this. One of the most charming and informative videos by Mediavine. Love it. That's from Shahi. So she said all the words that I could say. She's got my closer. Thank you, Shahi, for giving me my closer. You guys, thank you for being amazing. And thank you to our audience. We will see you in a couple of weeks to make our love match with Google. Bye, you guys.
Thank you, guys.